took me a long time to get here, but I couldn't have got here at a better time. WWE was always the dream end goal. It all came through just sticking to the plan.
Legs. Oh, the top rope moonsault!
I am at my strongest, helping other people to look as good as possible.
You are so good at these massive back body drops.
I'm in a competition right now with AJ Styles.
Oh, McDonagh, my goodness! Somebody better check on McDonagh out here.
To finish that match, it's incredible.
Every pro wrestler should be willing to do that for the audience. The thing that matters is the emotional reaction that you get from the fans. That's what gets you over. And that's when pro wrestling is done at its pinnacle.
Judgment Day is falling apart without you.
They need me. It was the glue holding everyone together.
Do you think about being a world champion?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Whether that happens or not is a different story.
Thank you for wearing the best pants ever.
Listen, thank you for introducing it into my life and getting me so much merch.
Viore.
Yeah.
The Sunday Performance Joggers. I don't travel on an airplane without them.
I'm head to toe in it.
That's Viore too.
Yeah, I swear to God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're the best. Like, I wear those things. I have like 5 pairs of those pants.
Yeah.
I do ads for them and people are like, do you actually wear them? I'm like,
no, this is a product you can believe in.
yeah. And if you ever see me in an airport,
Yeah.
I'm wearing Viore. Yeah, so go Viore.com/CVV. It wasn't even supposed to turn into an ad read, but seriously, if you go to Viore.com/CVV, you'll save 20% on those and you'll be like, oh my gosh, they're like wearing butter.
Yeah. They're the best. And Colin, your friend, right? Your buddy?
Yeah.
He's a sweet guy.
Yeah, shout out to Colin.
Shout out Colin.
You don't travel with anything else?
Rarely now. Rarely. They've taken over a large portion of my wardrobe.
They're just the
All
best.
the freebies you sent me.
How are you even like walking right now?
Time heals all, you know. I wasn't like this the first week or two after, but I'm feeling a lot better now.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Pretty good. Pretty good. My lungs good. My ribs are good. I'm just kind of waiting for the bones to knit back together before they clear me.
Well, what bones?
I punctured my my lung with my 7th rib. Yeah.
It looks so bad.
It didn't feel great. Yeah.
It's one of the scariest spots I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was a freak accident on my part, I guess.
So what was it? What went wrong?
I guess it was in the planning stage, really. Well, I needed to be on that side of the ring for something that was going to come up later on. So I said, I'll just do it on the announce table side. I've done it on that side before, but whatever happened on this one, I just was maybe a foot too far forward or a foot too far back and I was wiped out.
I think when you initially see it, you immediately think like the whiplash was bad. People immediately think it's a head injury or it's a neck injury.
Yeah.
Punctured lung, I don't think is what people expected.
No, in that moment, I was just thinking, when's the next breath going to come? You know, I knew that I didn't hit my head that hard because I knew I'd missed a spot in the match and I knew what was coming up next.
So you were
So I was like,
you still had your faculties about you.
Yeah. So I knew I wasn't unconscious or anything like that. And then, I don't know, it was like I was telling you, like an out of body experience listening to Michael Cole with the concern in his voice. You know, I've heard him all through the years being like, we got to get a medic down here. And then all of a sudden you're lying at his feet and he's saying it about you, you know?
But he was saying it with such urgency.
Yeah. Well,
Like
he
it wasn't
really
just
cares.
a line. Yeah. But it wasn't just a line. Like you could tell he was like, no, seriously, like someone needs to come check on JD McDonagh.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just kind of, everything goes really like slow in moments like that where you just have to, like I wasn't thinking like, I got to get through this match. It was just, okay, what's next? Can I do that? Let's do it. You know? So I like wiggled my fingers and toes and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I got a breath back. I can probably stand up. So I stood up and got back in there.
Did you realize how bad it was at that time?
I thought it was like maybe cracked ribs. I could feel like my ribs on this side was like Rice Krispies under my skin. And I was like, that's okay. They're definitely messed up. And I couldn't get a full lung full of air, but I just thought that was because I was winded from hitting the table. And then the adrenaline kicked in and I was okay, I can do this. I can, you know, get back in there and do my part in the match. I didn't want to leave the guys, especially because it was one of the first few weeks that we were on Netflix. Everyone's excited about it. You know, you got a huge audience watching you. It's for the tag team titles, Raiders first defense. Yeah, I didn't want to, if I can stand up and keep participating, then I'm gonna, you know?
And I assume just knowing who you are, you didn't want to not finish that match. Like you absolutely wanted to go in and finish
I'm not
it.
blowing smoke. The thought of stopping didn't even enter my mind. And the referee came down and he asked me what city we were in and what date it was. And I told him that I'm okay. And I told him where we were and what we were doing. I said, tell Dom that I'm okay and I just need a minute. And he passed the message on. And then the ref actually he got a lot of heat for it online, Sean Bennett. But as far as him doing his job, like he can only do or relay the message of what I'm telling him. And I told him I was good to go, and one of the WWE docs came out in the ad break. She checked me over and I knew if she touched my ribs, she wouldn't let me back in there. So, and she thankfully asked me about my head and my neck rather than my ribs. And there was a spot coming up in the match where I was needed. So I was like, I got to go.
Dom looked like he had genuine concern on his face.
Yeah, he was pale for a little bit.
Yeah. And I think Michael Cole even said it on that interview on Logan Paul's podcast. Michael Cole thought you were dead.
It was a big impact. Yeah, for sure.
When you climbed up, got back in the ring to finish the match, what's going through your head?
Just what's the next thing? Okay, it's a big back body drop. Not ideal, but the one thing that I did change in the match, and Dom is going to kill me for telling this story, the finishing stretch that we talked about, I said it would be cool if we could do 619, you tag me in, I'll do a 450, I'll bounce off him, I'll tag you in, you hit the frog splash. That'll be like our super finisher.
Yeah.
And we're super late in the match now, so I have no energy left whatsoever, no air left. And I tried to say to him, I can't do the 450. But he didn't hear me. He'd taken off for the 619. I was like, please, God, just let him go up for the frog splash. He hits the 619 and he runs across to me. No. He tagged me in. So the one modification I made was I knew I'd really hurt myself if I did the 450. And I've done that moonsault probably 10,000 times. And I knew I could kind of protect myself a little. And Ivar's a big guy too, big landing pad. So I thought this is going to be the last big move that I do. I'll make it a good one and get out of here.
So you'll just land on your cracked ribs. Like, think about that. The impact that you would have on a moonsault. Mm-hmm. That you'd think that was a safer call.
It wasn't like a measured decision that I made. It was all adrenaline in the heat of the moment.
The amount of respect that you've received from people online, I'm sure it's been from your colleagues as well. Like, the amount of grit that you had to finish that match, it's incredible.
I think there's a good few people in our locker room that would do the same thing if it came down to it. I'm not that I don't think it was special, but I think that every pro wrestler should be willing to do that for the audience. If you can stand up and keep going, stand up and keep going, because people have put their hands in their pockets, paid their hard-earned money to come and see you perform. So I take that very seriously.
That's going to be the moment that people remember from your career, at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing that it could have gone one of two different ways.
Yeah. I mean, if I'd have been a foot forward, that could have been like the back of my neck hitting the table that hard, or my head. So broken rib sucks, punctured lung sucks, but it could have been way, way worse.
It's a career-defining moment. And
we'll see.
Well, I think about it. Like, think about this. It's a career-defining moment where, like, that's the last, at least up to this point, that people have seen of you. Mm-hmm. Yet somehow you finish the match. Incredible. And you're hoping to come back, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be back.
Okay, I love that.
I've been hurt before. I've been down before.
But this could have gone the complete opposite direction.
Yes.
That could have been the last time that we saw you in a ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think about that?
No, I don't, because I understand the risks that we take being a wrestler, and I've been doing this for 22 years now, 23 years in September. So I know, like, I've seen people wiping out and losing their careers. I know that's something that you gamble with every time you go through the curtain. But if you were thinking about it often, I think you'd psych yourself out.
Where are you at with your recovery now?
I'm back to being in the gym. I was doing skipping and like really low impact cardio for a couple of weeks, and now I've kind of progressed into doing Pilates and other like non-impactful. So I haven't taken a bump yet. Right? That'll be the next step. I'm gonna go get back in the ring, hit the ropes, see if that hurts. Take a bump, see if that hurts.
But you were able to fill your lungs up with air?
Yeah, I got the full capacity back.
Okay.
Yeah, this one reinflated and stuck. Thank God.
I can't wrap my head around like what we saw.
Mm.
And then for you to be here, a month later, just like walking around like nothing happened.
I'm a medical marvel.
Do you have a timeline of when you'd like to be back in the ring?
I'd love to be back yesterday. I'm so bored sitting at home watching the guys traveling around. I'm so jealous. They're going to Europe this week. They're doing Madison Square Garden on Monday and then jetting off to Europe. So if I could be back, I'd be back right now. Hopefully, I'm going to put like a time frame on it and say like within a month, I hope to be back.
Wow.
That's what I'm working towards. So
Wow.
whether that happens or not, whether the WWE docs align with that, we'll see.
So it looks like John Cena is going to win number 17 at WrestleMania 41. At least that's what the odds say at MyBookie. They've got John Cena as the favorite over Cody Rhodes. Looks like we're actually going to have 2 new world champions after WrestleMania because Jey Uso is favored over Gunther. And with the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs right around the corner, you can get in on the action on those as well as UFC and boxing at MyBookie. And when you sign up and use the code CVV, you'll get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere at MyBookie.
Well, look, Judgment Day is falling apart without you.
They need me. It's desperate times.
Like, what's going on?
I don't know. The drama, the politics, it looks like I was the glue holding everyone together.
You posted this meme of like, you're coming back with the pizzas and everything's like, it's a disaster.
What happened?
Yeah. Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. People start talking about getting new members in. That you won't heat with me. It took me like 6 months to get into Judgment Day, and you just want to throw the doors open.
Yeah, you guys can't have any new members, right?
I don't think so. I don't think we need them. When I get back and we're back to full strength, let's see where the land lays.
Well, let's hope that things are in a better place with the Judgment Day at that point in time.
Well, we got gold back on the clubhouse wall now.
That's right.
It's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Everything. You know how this business is. It's peaks and valleys, and you just got to ride the waves.
How did you even get pitched to be part of Judgment Day?
That I was just told when I came up to the main roster, we're going to have you brush off Judgment Day, and that'll be the way that we introduce you, and we'll see what way the fans take it. There was the link there between me and Finn that we could work with, but I don't think there was like, we're bringing JD up from NXT, and we've got this spot in Judgment Day for him. I think it just kind of, that was the in for me, and I had good chemistry with most of the group. All of the group, really, to be honest. And yeah, it just seemed like a good fit. And I ended up getting inducted by Priest.
But getting to slide into something like that, a group that's so over,
Yeah.
I mean, that takes you up a notch too.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't have asked for a better intro to the main roster. All of a sudden I'm working with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso every week. I got Cody in like a dark match in State Line, Nevada, 2 weeks onto the main roster. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You and Finn go way back. Like, how far back do you guys go?
All the way. I met Finn when I was 12 and he was 21. So he opened the first wrestling school in Ireland. And before that, there was no wrestling on an independent level there. And he opened a wrestling school up in my town, about 10 minutes down the road from where I live. But even our families, like his granny's back garden backs onto my granny's back garden.
Wow.
In Bray, we're that close to each other. So yeah, I've known him like my entire adult life.
Did you, like, before you met him, was he just a legend in Ireland?
No, because he hadn't done anything.
Huh.
He was just a dude. He still is just a dude, but you know what I mean? He was like a 21-year-old kid that had rented out a school hall, and he was going over to the UK and doing like 6-week training camps with NWA UK. And then he'd come back to Ireland, and there was 30 of us in a wrestling gym, and he'd tell us what he had learned. So he was only ever a couple of weeks ahead of us in training.
So were you in wrestling school at the same time Becky Lynch was?
Yeah, I came
At the same school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always actually the one that was paired up with her a lot because I was the smallest and she was a girl. So we had comparable levels of strength. But I was the youngest in the school by like 7 or 8 years.
Was Sheamus in Ireland just someone that all of you guys looked up to?
Yeah, he was the first guy that kind of, certainly for someone that's my age, my generation, the first guy that broke out of Ireland and broke the States, But that wasn't really a huge help to me because he also was 6'4" and looked like a Celtic warrior. The guy that kind of made me stop and go, oh, this is a possibility, was Finn. He was walking that path ahead of me. You know, he did Japan, he came to America, and he was just another guy from Bray that came through the same school that I did, from the same mats that I trained on. So I just never had the doubt that it could be done. You know, I saw him do it, so I'm going to do the same things that he did and see where it gets me.
And look how many Irish wrestlers there are in WWE now.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. Like, it's Sheamus, Finn, you, Becky Lynch, Lyra.
Yeah. That's
amazing.
Yeah, she's killing it. She's the IC champion of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that girl. She's awesome.
There seems like there's such a European influx right now of talent into WWE. What's different about the style of wrestling that you guys do?
I think we focus more on like the actual mechanics of wrestling and manipulating body parts, and we all know how to, like, what it's like to be in a real fight and to move somebody around. And it's less like, had never cut a promo my first like 10, 12 years wrestling. I was just a guy on the card, you know, like just in one-off individual singles matches. I didn't need to learn how to tell a story until I was doing OTT in my like 13th, 14th year wrestling. And I didn't need to. It was just about having a wrestling match, you know, an exhibition. That's just the style of wrestling, certainly in Ireland and probably across the UK and Europe as well. There was less showmanship.
There's something about that. I don't know, like, because think about it, the names I just listed there, and then you've got Gunther and you've got Ludwig.
Yeah, Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah. There's so many great, talented wrestlers from that part of the world that I feel like didn't have an opportunity when we go back 10, 20, 30 years ago. And now it's happening.
Yeah. Well, there's like a clear bridge now you can follow. Yeah, especially when I loved when NXT UK was up and running. I thought that was an unbelievable opportunity for all the independent wrestlers in the UK. Like, that's a stepping stone to get you to the promised land, you know. And myself, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Walter, Gunter, Ilya, you know, we all came through that and learned the WWE style there, and then we were ready-made for bigger things when we got here.
So when you're a kid growing up in Ireland and you're watching WWE, who are your guys at that time?
My very first favorite wrestler was Jeff Hardy. Loved him. Always loved Triple H, even though he's a bad guy. And then I can remember being... Do you remember SummerSlam 2002 when Shawn Michaels came back?
Yes.
That was the first time I'd ever seen Shawn Michaels.
SummerSlam 2002 was also Brock versus Rock.
Yeah. That was a great card. And Angle and Ray opened it up, one of the best opening matches of all time.
Yes.
That was a great pay-per-view. But I was 12 years old watching it. And in the build-up to, obviously, Shawn had come back and he was betrayed by Hunter. And that was the first time I'd seen him. And I went back to see more of his stuff. You know, he got my interest. And it was through that I found like that golden era of wrestling with like Bret and Shawn and Mr. Perfect, Davey Boy, all those like technicians. And I was like, okay, this is the style of wrestling that I like. This is what I want to learn how to do. So yeah, Shawn was a huge one for me back in the day. Bret as well. Still to this day, I think like a perfect pro wrestler has ever existed. It's probably Bret.
What was it like the first time you met Shawn?
I can remember he was talking to me and I was marking out in my head and being like, no, listen to what he's saying. I was like, it's Shawn Michaels. Oh, this is so cool. It was great. He has been someone that was super like supportive and encouraging. He always said very complimentary things about me whenever he was asked. And that kind of does a lot to boost your confidence, you know, when one of the greatest of all time has time for you and thinks that you've got something.
What made you think this was even possible? Because if you look at it before, there wasn't really a path for a guy your size from your part of the world.
I didn't know it was possible. I just knew that all I can do is just not stop until I can't do it anymore. So I wasn't really thinking, is this possible? I was just thinking, that's the way I do everything. I don't have any kind of like long-term plans or anything because it freaks me out. I try and like compartmentalize everything. So on Monday, tell me who I'm going to the ring with and what I'm doing. And I'm going to make this as good as I can. And let's see what happens next Monday, you know? And that's all you can do. If you think too far in the future, you get married to an idea that never comes, I think what works for me anyway is taking it match by match, month by month, and just letting the cards fall where they do.
Yeah, you can get in your own head
Mm-hmm.
when you create these scenarios in your head that like, well, I have to do this thing, then that hopefully turns into this thing. I like the idea that you're talking about where you dive in. You don't check the depth of the water.
Yeah.
You don't check the temperature of the water. You're just diving in. You're like, once I get in there, I'll figure out how to swim.
Yeah, I think that's the mark of a true pro wrestler. That, okay, it might not be the best stuff that you've been given, but what can you make out of this? Can you make this an entertaining segment? Can you make this promo as good as it can be? Can you turn this match with this opponent into a great match,
Yeah. And I think that the best things in life are on the other side of something that's difficult.
Definitely.
Like, I don't think that that path is not an easy path. It's like, it's one that has difficulties along the way, and it's the perseverance to get through that you're rewarded on the other side.
Yeah. Like what we were saying earlier, you got to put the work in up front
Yeah.
to get the rewards later, and it's like your actions compound over time into a great result, but like in the moment you're not thinking about the great result, you're just putting in the 1% today.
Yes.
Get 1% better, and then see where that takes you.
Yeah, I heard a great quote that I'll never forget. It's, don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't put in.
I love it.
And I think about the flip side of that, of like, if you are putting in the work, day after day, week after week, month after month, it's eventually going to compound on itself and turn into something.
Yes, something will happen. I believe that anyway. I think that it is just a matter of time. I could have walked away from wrestling after trying my hardest for 18 years and never made it, but I cracked it in my 19th,
Did you think that there was, like, WWE wasn't going to happen for you?
Definitely, yeah. I just wanted to... WWE was always the dream end goal, but I wanted to finance my life through wrestling. I didn't want to ever get a real job. I wanted to... and whatever form that took, I got sidetracked there in my brain. What was I saying?
Oh, you're saying you didn't want to ever have a real job.
Yeah.
So like 18 years in, you finally get your break.
I finally get my break, and it all came through just sticking to the plan. Just keep on going, keep on trying to have the best match on the card, see where it takes you, and don't think too far ahead.
How did it eventually come around for you?
So NXT UK opened up in late 2016, and we had the UK tournament in January 2017. And in my WWE debut, I split Danny Burch's head open in the finish. I gave him a super kick, and he fell and hit his head off the canvas, bust himself open. And I was pulling him out. We were just about to go to the finish. I pulled him out by the ankle, and the ref saw the pool of blood, and I saw the pool of blood. And the ref goes, stay down, pin him, this is the finish, you got to go home. I said, okay, stay down. And I pinned him as hard as I could. And the ref goes, 1, 2, and he kicked out. And the ref counted 3. And the place just booed. Like, it was just the worst possible debut that you've ever seen. And I came backstage, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to wrestle here again. I waited all my life for this. But, it is always like worse in your own head. Danny was super cool about it. Everybody else was super cool about it. And we moved on.
And then from there, like, how do you get to the spot that you're in?
I just moved up through the ranks of everywhere I've been. I came in NXT UK with that start, and I was like, okay, I got to prove myself now that I'm not, this heavy-handed, clumsy guy. I got to put together a body of work here that people will take notice of. And then I kind of worked my way up through the ranks in NXT UK until I was doing main events with Ilya Dragunov for the UK title. And then the opportunity to go over to America. I won the Cruiserweight title a week after NXT TakeOver Blackpool. I had a really good one with Tyler Bate. And I remember off the back of that loss, that was what they decided. That was the match that they decided, we can do something with this guy. They brought me over to Houston for Worlds Collide, and I won the Cruiserweight title. And that was January 2020. And my career was about to take off. And then COVID happened, and I was sidelined for about 9 months.
But what a time coming out of that. Like, what a time to be with WWE. Because there was a long stretch, and I think this is no surprise to anybody, but there was a long stretch when, wrestling was not great, and there was a lot of storylines that were maybe not that well executed. You're coming into it in an era where, like, they're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I say it all the time to my friends that it took me a long time to get here, but I couldn't have got here at a better time.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a lucky guy. I think I still have to, like, the honeymoon period hasn't ended for me with WWE. Like, I often look out into the crowd and, wow, I wasn't, it wasn't long ago that I was wrestling in front of like 300 people. I'm thinking that was a great night, and it was a great night.
Yeah.
But, to be here, to grow up through the Attitude Era and see wrestling at its absolute peak, and then I don't want to disrespect anybody either, or any of the rosters came before it, but the lull in the business in general, and then to make it to the main roster as the business is on a swell again, it's just been unbelievably lucky time.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a second. This podcast is brought to you in part by Stash. Saving and investing can feel impossible, but with Stash, it's not just a reality, it's easy. Stash isn't just an investing app. It's a registered investment advisor that combines automated investing with dependable financial strategies to help you reach your goals faster. They'll provide you with personalized advice on what to invest in based on your goals, or if you just want to sit back and watch your money go to work, you can opt into their award-winning, expert-managed portfolio that picks stocks for you. Stash has helped millions of Americans reach their financial goals and starts at just $3 per month. Don't let your savings sit around. Make it work harder for you. Go to get.stash.com/insight to see how you can get $25 towards your first stock purchase and to view important disclosures. That's get.stash.com/insight. Paid non-client endorsement. Not representative of all clients and not a guarantee. Investment advisory services offered by Stash Investment LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk. Offer is subject to terms and conditions.
And then it comes full circle. The guy who you train with, the guy who you look up to.
Yeah.
You win the tag team championships with Finn Balor.
I know. Life is just stranger than fiction sometimes.
And what's interesting about that is you weren't tagging with Finn that much at that time.
No, he was tagging with Damien and I was tagging with Dom.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did it become a thing where you and Finn win the titles?
Because Damien won the world title. So he was a singles guy now, and me and Finn wanted to team up. So we said, we could probably do a good job as a tag team if you want to try us out. And they liked us.
And that guy, I feel like that guy doesn't age. Like,
I know. He's got the secret sauce.
What is it?
I know.
Hey, that guy has like 16 abs.
I know. And I'm the one that has to go out on TV with him every week. It's tough.
And the thing is, you look great.
Not next to him.
That's the thing. Like, you're jacked, and then you put next to Finn Balor, you're like, oh, does that guy even work out?
Yeah, it's not fair. But that's my cross to bear.
Well, that's a tough one. But what did that mean to win the championship with him?
Well, I said to you earlier, WWE was like the goal. But if you had to put a gun to my head when I was 14 years old and said, what's your ultimate fantasy dream in wrestling? I would have said win the tag titles with Finn.
Wow.
Honestly. So I looked up to him a lot because he's obviously the age difference. He's 9-10 years older than me. And he's lit the way for me in a lot of ways, showing me that it is possible. And I felt kind of for a long time, I was chasing him, trying to catch up to him. He did Japan. So I did Japan a few years later. He made it to America. Took me a little while, but I made it to America. And then for it all to kind of culminate with being his partner and lifting the tag team titles together. It was super hard for me. I feel like if I talk about it for too long, I'll get emotional, It was so fulfilling and such like a full circle moment for me and him training me, He felt the same way about it.
So if you're following a lot of the things that he's done in his career, he's a former world champion. Do you think about wanting to be a former world champion or being a world champion?
I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about it or didn't picture it. I think everybody that laces up their boots probably somewhere in them wants to be the world champion, Whether that happens or not is a different story. I am going to keep doing what I've always done and just try and make the best out of what I've got in front of me and see where it takes me. I'd love to be world champion, obviously. But I also know that my role in professional wrestling, I am at my strongest helping other people to look as good as possible. You know, I know that's my forte, and my dream is to finance my life through wrestling, and thank God I'm doing it right now.
You've never had a real job?
I had a job in telesales for about 6 months.
What were you selling?
Internet in California, actually. I was working on California time in Ireland. I was working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. cold calling businesses, selling internet.
You definitely sound like you're from California.
The Irish accent actually got me a lot of business.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could schmooze them on the phone, you know?
Do you feel like your accent's changed at all since moving to the US?
I've had to slow down. Like if I was at home now speaking to my mum across the table, you wouldn't be able to understand a word that we say. I purposely slow myself down a little bit and try and Americanize it.
Like soften your accent?
A little bit.
When you first moved here, were there ever times when you went to order something or talk to someone?
Oh, that happens all the time still.
What?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like I had, there'd be all sorts of like social faux pas where in Ireland, you kind of like have a bit of crack off each other. You can like poke fun or whatever. And it's really like back and forth.
Yeah.
And over here, I would try and do that. And then whoever I was talking to would be like, sorry, come again? The moment's passed. You know, it's not funny now. If I repeat it, it's just going to sound mean. You know?
Has there ever been a time you try to order something and they're like,
come again?
I don't.
Yeah, just point at the.
Yeah. What are you saying, sir? What is that?
Burger.
Hamburger. I feel like when I moved here from Canada, I had to like change the way I said like maybe 3 or 4 words. Like we say house.
Well, the Celsius to Fahrenheit thing is the biggest switch, right? That's the
Oh my
biggest
goodness.
adjustment.
Yes. And
Still haven't nailed that.
That and miles and kilometers.
Yeah.
You know that America is one of the only countries in the world. There's like 3 countries that still do Fahrenheit.
Go on. Do you know the other two?
They're like, I'll have to look them up. It's like, I'll just look them up so I don't get them wrong. But like, they're small.
Yeah.
Like they're small countries, and then it's America, and like the rest of the world's like, hey guys, like freezing is 0, boiling's 100.
This way is easier, honestly. Yeah. If you just listen.
I'm gonna look it up now,
dude.
Because we have all the world's information in our pocket. Fahrenheit. There we go.
That's the first hurdle. How to spell it.
Okay, there's more than 3, but there are not many. Okay, it's the United States, Cayman Islands, Liberia, the Federated States of Micronesia, Marshall Islands.
The usual suspects.
Of course. Yeah, so the United States was just like, nah, we're good. Yeah, no thanks.
Well, there's like however many million people here. It would be like a big undertaking to get that many people to change now, right? You got to just go with
now.
Yeah.
It's like this is like a badge of honor now. Like we will measure things in Fahrenheit. Although like when it is hot, like I get it. When it's hot, you can be like, oh man, it's 104. That sounds really hot.
Yeah.
But when someone's like, dude, it's freezing. It's like 26. I'm like,
yeah, that doesn't sound so bad.
Cold. Because if you do the conversion on that in like 26, I don't know what it is exactly, but like -5, you're like, ooh, minus?
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds real cold. What are the other adjustments to living in America?
The definitely getting sunshine every day. We had a stretch in Ireland there not long ago. Everyone's complaining about. We had 10 days where not a single ray of sunshine was captured at Dublin Airport.
Man,
and people were. Yeah, my mum was telling me like, oh, Jordan, I have to come over. It's miserable here. So yeah, that's been a pleasant adjustment to moving to Florida.
Yeah, the weather's pretty great there.
Yeah,
almost year round. When you talk about your job in the business being making other people look good, you are so good at these massive back body drops.
Thank you.
There's a back body drop that you took from Drew McIntyre where I don't know how high you were in the air, 10, 12 feet.
Yeah.
But you were high.
Yeah. I'm in a competition right now with AJ Styles to see who can take the best backdrop.
Who's winning?
It's definitely him. He's got a beautiful one himself. But that one with Drew, he messaged me about it. I got up there. I said to Drew, just put me in the lights. Just see how high you can throw me.
But like you're up there, like does it feel like you're falling for like an eternity?
No, I was up there long enough that I went, oh, cool. Like I knew it was going to be a good one, you know? I like to like sprag out like a cat, you know, when I'm in the air. So I had loads of time to spot the ground and turn it into a back bump.
Who might be able to give you a better one?
I wanted Braun Strowman to do it.
Oh,
Yeah, I like that. And a Beal from a big man.
yes.
I can't even remember. Do you remember Sangha? He was one of the Indian wrestlers that was coming through.
Yeah.
In my first day at the Performance Center, I was in Fifth Finley's class, and he was one of the big guys in there. And I got in with him, and I love big man, small man wrestling. And I love flying around for them and stuff. So I lit him up in the corner or whatever, and I said, "Beal me, brother." And he threw me, honest to God, I nearly left the ring 20 foot diagonally across. It was one of the greatest bumps I've ever taken, and there was no cameras rolling. But yeah, he gave me the best Beal I've ever had.
You got to recreate that now.
Yeah, I just need to get in there with the right guy.
The RKO you took at Survivor Series 2023,
Yeah.
that must have been terrifying.
Yeah, that was my idea. Yeah, I remember I wanted to originally, my first idea was I was going to moonsault off the cage.
Oh my gosh.
And they said, "No, you can't do that. Charlotte's going to do that." I said, "Okay. Well, then in that case, I have a slightly more dangerous suggestion." What? And I said, "Super RKO." And they said, "Can you think you can do it safely?" And I said, "I'd have to eyeball it. I'd have to get up there onto the cage and see the height and see, but I reckon I could." When we were coming through, when I was 12, 13, you're just a kid, learning how to bump and how to hit a crash mat or whatever. We used to have a game where we would try and jump from ascending heights and put our hands behind our back and just take the flat crash mat. So you'd start standing, then you might go to the bottom rope, the second rope, the top rope. We'd be pushing each other, daring each other to go higher and higher. And at the end of it, I was jumping off like a ladder in the ring onto the crash mat on the floor and hooking my hands behind my back. So honestly, it felt like that was it was a weird, when I was up there on the cage, just about to do it, and Randy's walking over, he's eyeing me up and stuff, I thought about all those bumps that I took, I was like, okay, just do it like that. Just put your hands behind your back and leave your head out there for something for him to grab. And yeah, thank God it came off great.
Did Randy know he could totally do it?
Yeah, we got a crash mat out the night before. I hate blowing up the secret of wrestling, but we got a crash mat out and he stood at the end of it, and I got up on the cage and just jumped off, and he eyeballed it and he goes, "I got you." I bet you do. All right, let's do it tomorrow when the lights are on.
What a guy. How high does it feel when you're up there?
Oh, it was terrifying. The anticipation to jump was worse than the jump. It was
because you were waiting for a while.
Yeah. I was up there with Sammy and Seth hanging on to me, holding me by the hair, and Randy was clear the other way in the opposite ring. And I was just like, "Just let me go. Let this moment be over," because you could feel the expectation rise in the whole city. There's 15,000 people there, and every single eye was on me. And then all of a sudden they saw Randy walking over, and they put two and two together, and you could feel the pop building, about to come. And then I jumped, and you could hear bang, and just the loudest bang you've ever heard and the biggest roar I've ever heard. And I was just lying there, my heart, from my fingertips, all the way up, was just not it wasn't numb, it was just on fire. Wow. Yeah.
That's got to be a top 5 RKO, I think.
I hope so. I hope I gave that gift to Randy.
I think 1, 2, depending on what day, depending on who you are, what your preferences are, it's either the Evan Bourne Shooting Star Press RKO.
I love that one.
Me too.
That's my number one.
That's my number one too.
Yeah.
And then I think for a lot of people, their number one is the Stomp into the RKO,
Yeah,
Seth
that's another
Rollins,
classic.
WrestleMania 31.
Yeah.
That's 1, 2. You're definitely in the top.
I'll take top 3. I'll take bronze.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no shame in that. They're two great, all-time RKO moments. So if I can get within touching distance of that, that's pretty cool.
Well, all 3 of those have the same thing in common, which is real recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you got to be willing to break a few eggs.
Small window to make this happen. Large window for error.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of pro wrestling, isn't it? When it all comes off right, there's nothing better. I think the fans know as well, oh, that could have gone the other way.
Yes. And those are the ones where it's man, they pulled this off.
Yeah.
Seth sat right there and told me we didn't think we could pull that off. And he's we kind of forgot that it was so hot. It was still so sunny in an outdoor stadium, WrestleMania 31 in California.
Yeah. Air's dry, you're blown up.
Right. Sweaty. And he's running at him and he's Well, I guess we'll
Something's
do it.
going to happen. Yeah.
We'll
They
try.
nailed it.
They nail, and you did too. I don't know how you're going to top that.
I'll figure out a way.
But how does it feel that your greatest moments, and you even said it was a gift. How does it feel that your greatest moments are making other people look so good?
I don't see it. The moment is the product of what we're doing. You know what I mean? I'm when I figured out that pro wrestling isn't about like who does the coolest move or who looks the strongest. It's about the match. When I unlocked that part of my brain, that was it for me. I started on my like rise to the main roster then. You know,
What was the realization?
I met Terry Taylor in the Performance Center in NXT, and he took a liking to me, and I knew he was, you know, an all-timer that just wanted to share his information, and he had so much information to pass on that I just sat with him all the time and just pestered him with questions. How does this work? What am I like? He told me that wrestling moves are a vehicle that we use to get an emotional reaction from the fans. That's all they are. They can be interchanged with other moves. It doesn't really matter. The thing that matters is the emotional reaction that you get from the fans. That's what connects you to people, and that's what gets you over. So for me, if I can take, I am an unselfish wrestler, I would say. I will work for the match and for my opponent as hard as I'll work for myself. And because of that, I get my rewards. So I was barely on the main roster a couple of months, and we were leading into the Fastlane pay-per-view, and they wanted a big like SmackDown go home schmoz before it. And I turned around and I'm in the ring with taking the finisher of Jey Uso, LA Knight, John Cena, Cody Rhodes. You know, I was the guy that they picked for this great fucking moment where these guys all stack their finishers. Well, who's going to make that look the best? JD. It's like JD in there, and I'm taking an FU from John Cena. You know? If you're too hung up on like how you look, or if you're the strongest, or how does this make me look, I think you're doing yourself and the fans a disservice. You know, I'm working for the best like I want, when the 3 happens in my match, I want it to be the loudest possible noise and the most satisfaction that the fans can have.
Well, it's a dance.
What do you mean? It is a dance. Yeah.
It's like it's a dance where it's like you're both in there together, working towards the same favorable outcome of the fans enjoying this.
And if the bad guy dies at the end, bad guy dies at the end, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the beauty of pro wrestling. That's when pro wrestling is done at its like pinnacle, I think, in my opinion anyway.
So you guys know that I'm always keeping an eye on what I eat, but I want it to taste good. I think that's the most important thing here. Check out this from Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular high-protein cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic cereal bars. Magic Spoon's treats are so delicious, and this is my on-the-go gym snack. I bring it with me to the gym, or I bring it with me on a flight, like for this interview that I'm recording here. Magic Spoon also launched a brand new high-protein granola. So true to what Magic Spoon does and the Magic Spoon promise, it's packed with protein and so crunchy and sweet, perfect for breakfast, perfect for snacking. This is something I love having every day. Magic Spoon's high protein treats are an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go, and they come in mouth-watering flavors like marshmallow, chocolate peanut butter, and dark chocolate. The granola packs 13 grams of protein with 0 added sugars, and they come in flavors like honey almond and peanut butter. You can't beat those macros. These are great for a meal, they're great as a snack, they're great as a midnight snack. Get $5 off your next order when you go to magicspoon.com/CVV, or check them out on Amazon or your local grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/CVV to save $5 on your next order.
You were in John Cena's only match in 2024.
That's awesome.
Did you know that?
I didn't. It makes sense though, yeah. 6-man tag.
Yeah.
John Cena and Awesome Truth against the Judgment Day.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think John Cena wrestled 1 match in 2024 and you were there for it.
Yeah, he was super cool about that as well. I remember he wanted to do something different for that match, and he wanted us to jump Miz and Truth right at the start and just grind them for the entire match, all through the ad break. No hope of redemption. I mean, because it was 3-on-2 and they didn't have a tag partner. And John said, like, you might lose the fans. Like, you're going to have to bring them really, really down, but we want them down there for when my music hits, because that'll be the maximum, response that we can get. So just have the courage to grind the fans down for like 8, 9, 10 minutes, And we did, and it worked. And they threw their babies in the air when Cena's music hit.
Their babies in the air.
Yeah.
And then the 15 knuckle shuffle.
The 15 knuckle shuffle,
The crowd was so hot for that moment. Like,
yeah, it was cool.
All three of those guys doing John Cena's move.
Yeah. I've taken the 5 knuckle shuffle probably 30 times from R-Truth.
And he gets a similar reaction to Cena. Not the same.
It's close.
But the crowd loves being able to, you can't see me.
Yeah.
It was something special, though, seeing it like times 3.
Yes. It was a great moment to be part of. Again, you get your moments when you're willing to do business.
I got to say, your head isn't as big as everyone tries to say that it is.
Thank you very much. It's very nice of you to say that.
Why is this the subject of
I don't know.
so many jokes?
I like my big Irish head. I
don't think it's that big.
Me either. I don't know. I guess it's 2025 and people still think body shaming is okay. What do you want me to do? It's my skull.
Michael Cole said you had a Klingon-like head.
I know. I got a bison from Pat McAfee. I'm crawling around the ring trying to put on a great match for you guys with a punctured lung, and I'm getting a bison head.
Gunther said, the one over here with the big head.
Yeah. I could say a few things about Gunther, but...
Cody even said you had a big head.
Yeah, he tried to get me a Funko Pop collab, which I wasn't mad about. If I'm going to make a bit of money off this, like, let's talk. Yeah.
When did this become a thing, though?
When I left Ireland, honestly. I'd never heard a bad word against it until I left Ireland. And then I was in the UK wrestling, and I don't know if you've seen any like UK soccer matches, but the fans are so creative with their chants, and that's just like a UK thing. So I was getting like, he's got the whole world in his head. He's got the whole world in his head. And they had loads of chants for me. And then I kind of, just played into it. I that's all you can do. I had a headbutt for a finisher for a little while, I'm always diving off the top rope head first.
Do you think you have a big head?
In certain lights, I guess. Not when I'm in
What
Ireland.
about this light? Yeah, I don't think it looks that big.
I think I look pretty good.
No. Maybe it's the slimming black shirt. I don't know.
Perhaps.
I feel like, as we look at the monitor here,
I don't know. I think we need to get some kind of like measuring device out, and I can carry it around. And
that could be your gimmick. You think I have a big head? Let's measure yours.
Yeah. And first person, Michael Cole. Going right up, Joe.
Yeah, I bet that maybe, I don't know, maybe in perspective it's slightly larger. I don't think so, though.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
I'm glad that on a platform this big, we can discuss it.
Let's put an end to this.
Yeah. Body shaming's not cool, everybody. It's 2025. Okay, let's move on.
There it is. That's it. The fact that you can lean into it and be okay with that. Because you could have early on been like, hey guys, that's not nice.
But it's going to happen anyway. People talk their shit. And it's all you have control over is how you react to it and how much brain space you let it take up. I've laughed at some pretty mean jokes in the past about other people, so when it's your turn to get a little bit of fun poked at you, it is what it is.
And I guess the thing in wrestling is if you can get something over, whatever it is.
It's all heat, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're okay with that?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Fans can say what they want, make their signs, pay your money to come see me get my head kicked in.
What's the best sign you've seen?
The first time I saw Dom eats corn the long way was the first time I'd seen that sign.
That's the play on the Goldberg sign.
Yeah.
Classic Goldberg sign.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. And I ran over to Dom. I was like, you got to see this. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Have there been any specific JD signs you've seen?
I've seen a few like gigantic cutouts of my head. It's just a regular size cutout, but it's gigantic in the crowd. Yeah, there's a few of those going around. More than I'm happy about, but
heat's heat.
Yeah, heat's heat.
Why did you have to change your name?
They're not too happy with you having your birth name as your wrestling name.
Jordan Devlin's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
Like if this
rolls off the tongue.
It's a great wrestling name, and the fact that that's your actual name.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I kept it as close to home as possible. McDonagh is my mother's maiden name. And then JD is Jordan Devlin, Jordan.
So like that was, the list was short for you. Like, hey, are you guys okay
if you're
with
going to
this
make
name?
me change my name, I'm going to stay true to myself. I'm going to be as close to the authentic me as possible.
But you didn't have to change your name originally, right? Like you were still.
I was Jordan Devlin for a little while in WWE, for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how's the conversation come about where it's like, all right, we know you've done this stuff as Jordan Devlin, but it's time to have a new name.
Yeah, I think when I was moving from the UK over to the States, they thought, okay, this is the right time to rebrand them.
Rebranded and trademark it, I guess.
I
right?
guess, yeah. Yeah. They must have had high hopes for me to get.
Well,
I was going to make a lot of money.
It's working out. And you're selling all that Judgment Day merch.
That's true.
That must be nice.
Well, it's like, 25%. It's actually less than that now.
You got more members.
Yeah.
This is why you can't have more members.
No new members.
Yeah. You got to split the rival, the residuals.
Yeah.
Has R-Truth got you to break character?
He's come close. When we're, especially on the live events, when I know that I'm not, like, I'll try and keep it together as much as I can on camera. I'm better than Priest at it. Priest was cracking up every single week.
Yeah, he's got Priest to break.
Mm-hmm.
Truth's got pretty much everyone to break.
Yeah, I saw a clip of him getting Lesnar to break.
Yes.
On the plane here. Yeah, he must be one of the only guys to do that.
But he hasn't got you.
No, I'm rock solid.
Well, it's over now.
Yeah.
Truth's going to see this.
Yes, and he's going to make me a target.
Yeah.
He is one of the funniest guys. We went straight from Judgment Day at WarGames against the top 4 baby faces. So we looked super strong, super menacing, super dangerous. And then we went into the R-Truth stuff. And I love that. I love being able to have that range, where you can go from being like slimy, scummy little heels to making people laugh and all the stuff with Dom and Liv and will they, won't they, and us catching them. And it was a really great 2024 for that kind of stuff, for showing off my comedy side too.
Well, it gives a lot of layers to what you guys do. Because if you're just heels that do devious things, it's like, yeah, all right. But when you're heels that we can't help but laugh at and laugh with, it's like, well, yeah, I'm booing them because I don't like them, but at the same time, they're pretty fun.
Yeah, that's kind of like how I felt about Kurt Angle when I was growing up.
Yes.
Undeniably good. He's a doofus, but he's great and he's so dangerous, but he makes me laugh really hard.
He's one of the people, and I told him this to his face. I said, if we're making a Mount Rushmore of comedy wrestlers, you've got to be on there.
Yeah, for the little cowboy hat alone.
It's for that. It's for Milkamania. Yeah. It's for all of the things that he, like the man who plays with boys promo.
Yeah.
And I think that people forget how funny Kurt Angle was because he's one of the very best to ever lace him up.
Oh, yeah, total killer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what makes him, so good, is that like, yeah, absolute killer.
Yeah. Doesn't take himself too seriously.
Yes. And that's probably why he's so good. But if you're making a Mount Rushmore of comedy wrestlers, he's got to be on it.
Yeah. I'm going to stick Ronnie on there too, though.
R-Truth?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No, undeniably. And Santino, I think, has got to be on there too.
Yeah. Okay, that's 3 of the 4.
Well, I had the same conversation with Truth, and he's like, people forget, though. Stone Cold was funny.
He was.
People forget, though. The Rock is funny. And it's like, it's so true that like all the best have like layers. Like he's like, Triple H has had funny moments. Shawn Michaels is funny. And it's true, like that when you get to that level, like, and you're able to show like, I can be serious,
yes,
and I can be funny, and I can be a great wrestler. Like that's what makes you so good.
Well, that's pro wrestling in a nutshell. It's a circus. You gotta appeal to a mass audience. You gotta have, if you don't like the acrobats, you might like the lions. If you don't like the lions, you might like the gymnasts. So you gotta be able to have that range and be able to be more than a one-dimensional character. You gotta give people something to sink their teeth into.
What allowed you to open up and lean into that comedy side for you? Because you hadn't done it before.
No, I hadn't, but I still, I always liked taking weird, funny bumps like through the ropes or, going inside out when I got kicked in the ass and making people laugh that way in ring. I knew there was always a place for that in a serious match. You can still pop the audience a little bit in that way. So it was just the opportunity to do it in WWE with a cast of characters that were funny, and being put into comedic situations. And the thing that I'll say about the Judgment Day, every member in all iterations is every single person wants to make any time that we're on camera important, and maximize it. So even if it's me and Carlito and Dom goofing around in the background of a promo and the business is happening up front, we'll try and get something for the fans that are really care and really like analyze the promos, We'll try and fit in like little Easter eggs in the background or funny little, side stories.
Well, that's the idea of like, even if you only have 30 seconds on camera this week, that you make the most of it. It's the
how lucky are we that we have 30 seconds on WWE TV?
Yes. It's the Dusty Rhodes quote of maximize your minutes. Mm-hmm. Like make the most of the opportunity you have.
Yeah.
And Judgment Day is a perfect example of that. And you're right. There's little things going on in the back, or like you'll make a funny face, or like Carlito will like raise an eyebrow, and you're like, this is great.
Yeah. Well, there was one promo that we did that made everybody laugh, where Liv was trying to woo Dom.
Yeah.
And she was helping him stretch for their tag match, and we all popped our heads around the corner like a totem pole. And apparently that popped everybody. That's all.
Well, and then like the Carlito, was it Carlito?
Yeah. Looks pretty hard to me.
That's pretty hard to me. Yeah. I don't even think that's PG.
No. Yeah. That was foretelling what Netflix is to bring, I think.
The stuff with Dom and Liv and all the Easter eggs in the background and like building up towards like, is Dom actually going to leave Rhea Ripley? All of that culminating at SummerSlam last year was such a huge moment for Judgment Day.
Yeah. It was like the dissolution of the group in that form, right?
Yeah.
Because Finn turned on Priest.
Yes. Yeah. But it feels like it was like this groundswell of like, especially with the Liv and Dom and Rhea stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to happen? They're teasing it, but there's no way he could do this.
Yeah.
And then it happened and it went, oh. And what a moment it created.
Yeah. Dom went from being heel to more heel. Yeah.
That's so true. He's the only heel to turn heel.
Yeah. Incredible statistic to have.
Yeah. What a moment. What's been the real like pinch me moment for you of like, I can't believe I get to do this. I can't believe I'm here and this is happening.
I had one outside of WWE last year when me and Finn got to go home to Over the Top Wrestling, and we brought the tag titles home to Dublin, and we wrestled in the National Stadium where I'd wrestled on the Indies in front of 2,200 people, and that's not comparatively a very big crowd.
That's a huge indie crowd.
It's a huge indie crowd, of course, but we got a balcony full of Devlins and a balcony full of Devitt's, and we were up there with the World Tag Team titles, and we came back to where we both started out, and I was this is just insane.
The fact that that's even possible now for you to go back to where you started and bring the WWE Championship, that really speaks.
It's unheard of.
Yeah,
right?
It speaks to the era that we're in right now with WWE.
Yeah, long may it last.
Yeah, that must have been so cool to be able to go home, like to have accomplished what you accomplished, and then to come right back to where you started.
In our primes with the titles.
Yeah.
It was beyond belief.
And then honestly, also think about how encouraging that is for the young wrestlers going, if they can do it.
Well, that's exactly my point. Like I fully believe that I am only here because I believed I could get here because of what Finn was doing ahead of me. And if we can come back and show them, like, look, we were on these mats, like these mats, it can be done. Like we're in front of your face. We're like you, if we could unlock that in their brains, who knows, they could be the next superstar of 2030, 2035,
You said that since you got injured, you've just been at home bored.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Very little. I've been, I just bought a house, so I've been doing.
Hey, congrats.
Thank you. I've been doing lots of DIY and painting and gardening. I got in a little bit of trouble with the WWE docs. It wasn't the first week, but it was early in the second week. One of the producers called me up just to check in. I'm fine, I'm just out in the garden. I'm planting a blueberry bush. All good, just bored. And like 20 minutes later, I had a call from the WWE doc being like, I've heard a rumor that you're doing manual labor. Tell me you're lying. And I was like, I'll go back inside. So kind of under penalty of death, I've been resting up and trying to do very little. So
it's like literally just sitting around resting, recovering?
Yeah, I'm able to do some light cardio like skipping and going on a bicycle, like low impact stuff. this last week I've gone to the gym and done some light weights and just seeing like, can my ribs support this? You know, if I put it over my head.
And it can?
Yeah, it can.
Sounds like you're close to coming back then.
I feel like I am. The first bump will tell.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be my first.
So will that be, I'm assuming you get cleared when you go to the PC, you take a bump and like get checked out after
hit the ropes, take a couple of bumps.
Yeah. Oh, hitting the ropes.
See if my lung's still inflated. Yeah.
How do they inflate a punctured lung? How do they repair that?
Do you want to know?
I'd like to.
So they take a tube. It's about the diameter of your little finger. And they poke a hole in between your ribs and they stab it into your chest cavity. Because the lung had come away from the chest cavity and collapsed. And they need to suck all the blood and air that's leaking from your lung in your chest cavity out so that your lung can expand and stick back to the wall of your chest.
Oh, man.
So I was on this suction pump pulling all the blood and air out for a day. And I was obviously like shallow breaths, like half lungfuls. And then they changed it to a different machine with like a lower form of suction. So there's less suction helping my lungs stay inflated. They were saying it would stay up. I did that for another day. And then they took me off the machine, took the tubes out, and my lungs stayed inflated and stayed stuck to my chest cavity. So they let me go home.
And this is in a hospital?
Yeah. I was blessed, by the way. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, the next state up from Florida. Like if I had been in Colorado, I'd still be driving home because I couldn't fly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my lung would have popped.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so my wife, WWE couldn't have been better, by the way. They flew my wife up. They extended my hotel for a week. They got us a car and a driver to drive us back to Tampa. They were awesome about it. But yeah, it was a bad week after the bump.
It could have been so much worse.
Yeah. Yes. I always remember this, add that in at the end. It could have been so much worse. Like I'm sitting here smiling and talking to you and I walked in on my own two legs and I'm going to be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully. You know?
It's amazing. And I think that you're going to be seen by the audience in a new light now, I think. Like, I think that they always saw you as a great wrestler, goes out there and has great matches, but now it's like, that guy's tough. That guy is legit tough.
Well, like I said, I hope that any wrestler worth their salt would at least try to do the same thing, you know? I'm not encouraging anyone to keep going if they're hurt, but like I said to you about giving people their money's worth, you know? I feel like it's like a badge of honor for wrestlers. Like everyone my age saw Triple H finishing the match with a torn quad, you know? That burned itself into my brain at a young age.
I still don't know how he did it. And took the walls of Jericho.
Yeah, what a psycho. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you know, you would have been like in a 13 out of 10 pain.
Yeah, yeah. But I think there is little moments like that come along in a long career, little like flashes of, you know, things happening that you weren't expecting and how do you react to it, and those kind of things can change the trajectory of a career.
How much pain were you in when that happened?
It sucked. It was real bad. And it was the impact itself. It took all the air out of me, obviously, and I was lying there and it was like white hot pain. But the worst part was feeling like my ribs rattling around, like later on in the match when I was running or throwing a kick or throwing a punch or taking any, like one of the other moves. It was just a long, drawn out, like stabbing sensation, you know? And then even after that, like I was home maybe 4 or 5 days and I was walking through the kitchen and my wife said something funny and cracked me up and brought me to my knees. You know, I collapsed on the kitchen floor from this laugh that had winded me.
When you got to the back after that, how'd you feel?
So we got back behind not even to the curtain. I had my arms over Dom and Carlito coming up the aisleway, and that was really hurting me, but I couldn't take my hands off them or I'd have fallen down. So, and I didn't want to fall down in Gorilla because there was loads of people waiting to go out to the next match and you don't want to sell for anybody in the office. So I just lay down on the other side of the curtain, thinking that I was out of the eye line of people, but a few of the fans caught a photo of my feet sticking out into the entranceway. They said, JD's just collapsed backstage.
Oh man.
Yeah. But I just had to lie down and catch my breath. It wasn't a full collapse.
Oh, it wasn't so bad, guys. I did a moonsault. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You're a crazy man.
Things you do in the heat of the moment, I guess.
It's
adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could finally have this conversation too.
I know.
I can't believe we've never met before.
I know.
We never met
I was
before.
always kind of like in the periphery of each other.
I've been in the gym at the same time as you. In Chicago, it was actually right before you got RKO'd off the cage. I was in the gym. I was, I think, finishing up and you were starting or vice versa.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to bug you in the gym, but I'm glad we were able to connect on this.
Yes, absolutely.
And while you have a little bit of spare time, because you're about to hit the road once you get cleared and
Yeah.
you'll be going.
And it was great to get some air miles behind me again for 2025, you know?
I'm glad you were able to fly again.
Yeah. I feel more like myself now, doing business and talking about wrestling and kind of easing my way back into it now.
Well, you are an absolute savage.
Thank you.
For finishing that match.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what's next for you in the Judgment Day. And hopefully you guys can stay together. I don't know.
Time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Time will tell all.
Grateful for this conversation, and gratitude, such a big thing for me. So JD, I'll ask you the question I ask everyone at the end of every episode. What are 3 things you're grateful for right now?
I'm grateful that I stuck it out chasing my dream as long as I did and that it paid off. I'm grateful for my parents for encouraging me to always follow my dreams and be a leader and don't follow people, do your own thing. And I am grateful to my wife for coming to America with me to help me chase my dream. I couldn't do it without her.
You're doing it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.